Howdy there, folks. How y'all doing? My name is Reese, and today we're going to be unboxing, well, you won't really be able to see that part, but we're going to be testing the Canon SL3 when plugged into a capture card and using it sort of as a webcam and a FaceCam. This is basically what I'm going to be using it for. Now, if you're just here for the test, I'll throw the timestamp on the screen, put it down in the description, put it down in the comments, so you can just skip right to that. Otherwise, I am going to unbox this while I talk about why I bought this particular model. You can skip that if you want to. Now, until earlier this year, I was using the Logitech C920 as a webcam, and it was fine, but I wanted to get something a little better, so I pulled all of the Twitch, the YouTube, the Patreon money, and I managed to get us a CamLink, and this Canon camcorder, I don't even know what the model name is, I'll put it on the screen. It's adequate, you know, I had to find one with clean HDMI out, and this had it, you know, it does 1080p 60, it's perfectly okay for what we were doing at the time. However, it's not great. If you look in the background here, even though we've got lots of light, lots of noise, lots of fuzzies. Let me turn off that floodlight I've got up there. It's even worse. It's even worse. Now, I don't have a professional lighting setup. It's possible that more light would help with that, but probably not much. And then also, I've had more lighting in here. And what I found is during long play sessions, it hurts my eyes. I've got delicate little baby blues. I cannot stand having a lot of light in front of me, even with soft boxes, even pointing them away and having them reflect back at me. It was still too much. So I need a camera that's going to perform better in low light than what we've got right now, what we've been using. I asked Jenna, she's my camera expert. She made some really solid recommendations for some very pricey cameras that I did consider, you know, the GH5S, the Sony, what is it, the A7S II, the A7R II, the A7 III, very good cameras, very expensive cameras, great low light performance, but I could use any of my lenses with them. So even if I bought just the camera body, saved a bit of money, still have to buy lenses. Lenses are expensive. Spending a lot of cash. This, I think it sells for $550 with just the body. That's the back of the box. Hopefully that's not the side I showed you earlier. I actually managed to get this one for $500, so I think that's a pretty good deal. And it shows a lens on the box. I bought it without the lens. I bought body only because I have Canon lenses, which is one of the perks of this, is I can just stick any of my Canon lenses on here. Now, unlike some of those others, unlike the Sony I was talking about, this is a cropped sensor. It's not a full sensor, so it's not going to get as much light in, but I just really want to reduce that noise in the background, you know? I mean, this has worked fine as a webcam, as a face cam in the corner. You're not going to see that noise. I look good. I look sharp when it's like tucked away in the side of the image, but this is hopefully going to be an upgrade, and I'm finally opening it now. And it does 1080p 60, same as this. It does 4K, but it only records 4K, I think 24, 4K 23.97, I believe, which is fine. You know, I don't need to record to it ever. I'm not sure about the HDMI output. I know, because I checked, that it does have clean HDMI out, which was important to me. You know, for obvious reasons, I got to get it into the computer somehow. And for that, I'm going to be using the capture card. I was using a CamLink for a while, but I eventually got a Blackmagic quad 4K capture card, so it can take like up to 4 sources at a time, which is fantastic. So you got a strap in the box that we'll never ever use, a battery in the box that we'll also probably never use, and the battery charger that we will not be using. I have an adapter to plug this thing into the wall. I had to buy it separately. I'll show it to you here in a second. But, this might, I don't know if it puts 4K out through HDMI. I would hope that it would. And I would hope that the 4K 24 is only a limitation of the recording. If it can output 4K through the HDMI at 30 hertz, I guess 30 FPS, that would be great. If it could do it at 60, that'd be even better. But I did buy this for 1080p. That's essentially what we're going to be using it for. And oh my gosh, it's so dainty. So I have a Canon DSLR. I have the 70D. Which is great for video. I've got Magic Lantern installed on it so it can record sort of indefinitely until it runs out of power or runs out of room. The problem is the HDMI output is not clean, and even if you make it clean, it's not outputting at full quality, like on this dainty little fella. Look at that. It's very lightweight too, which is good because it's going into a pretty tight spot up there where that camera is. cool. That's where the lens goes. I just said that like it was... like some people might not know. The lens goes on the front, in the giant hole. The viewfinder pops out to the side and can flip around. So the battery will go in down here. HDMI output is over here. I think it is mini HDMI, which is good. Yeah, mini HDMI, because that is what that is using. And should be able to just plug it right in. It does have a port for a mic. I should note that I'm not using the mic audio on this camcorder, and I will not be using the mic audio on this camera. I'll be using the audio off of this microphone that's just kind of out of screen. And then normally when I record, when I stream, I use the Audio-Technica, I think it's a BPHS, yeah, BPHS1 headset, plugged into an Art voice channel. It sounds really good. Much better than any headset really has any business sounding. But, cool. Where is that adapter that I bought? Alright, so it's from a company called Go9, I guess? Or Yo9? Or Joe9? Or, I have no idea. It doesn't matter to me. This is a pretty cheap product. I think it's $20. There's a bunch of different ones that all kind of look the same. I can't say definitively they're the same because I haven't tested them, but my guess would be these are all just a mass-produced Chinese sort of situation, and then you buy them up in bulk, stick your own labeling on them. I don't know that's what they're doing. I can't say that definitively. But if I had to guess, I'd say that's what they're doing. It came with a little cleaning cloth. This definitely sets the product apart from the others, which may or may not include a cleaning cloth. So essentially what it is it's a dummy battery, and it looks very similar to the actual battery. Goes into the battery compartment, goes into a brick, and goes into the wall. And then once you get all the pieces of it stringed together, the actual run of it, let's see, I think I have a wingspan of about 6 feet, so about 6, 12, somewhere close to 12 feet, which is good. You know, we're not gonna have to worry about placement issues at all. The first lens we're gonna put on there is my EFS 10 to 18 millimeter lens. It doesn't have the best aperture. 4.5 is the lowest or highest, most open, and just wanted to stick this one on there and see how it would look. It's got a pretty wide field of view. Probably not going to end up using this one as the main lens, but it was sitting on the desk, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that. I'm gonna go ahead and turn this one off. I'm gonna unplug it, run all the power. I'm gonna come back when that's finished. This is a bit much. I guess if I wanted to get the entire room in shot, this lens would work great, but 10 millimeter might be a bit too wide for what I'm doing. I could zoom it in. I can barely reach my camera though. And if I zoomed it in, the aperture would go up, or I guess close, and I would be getting less light. Now I do still see some fuzzies, but that's probably because I have the ISO cranked up high with this lens. This lens does not have a very low aperture, so I can only do so much with it, you know. I'm going to be swapping out that lens now. We're going to try I think this is the one that came with my 70D. It's the 18 to 55 millimeter. It has an f-stop of 3.5. It's the lowest, or the most open that it can get, so it should let a little bit more light in, probably be able to turn down that ISO, and we'll see what that looks like. Also, you won't be seeing the entire room, which is good. Alright, that's a lot better, though I am having some trouble with angles. This is the camcorder I was using. This is the Vixia HFR 800, and this particular camera is very short compared to the SL3, so the SL3 is hitting a shelf that I have above my camera mount, and therefore I'm having to like tilt the camera down a bit. I'll have to figure out a different way. Just spat there, it's quite embarrassing. I'll have to find a different way to mount the camera. I don't want to take it off the wall. I've got it all bolted in, so maybe just get an additional arm or something to just bring it out a little bit so it's not quite underneath that shelf. I'm still noticing that in the background, we still get some artifacting, we still get some fuzzies, you know? But it's a lot better than it was. I'm seeing a bit of a roll, a bit of a flicker, which might be because the LED light that I have up here and the camera aren't synchronized. I could fix that by trying to adjust the frame, shutter speed. I could adjust the shutter speed and probably get rid of that. It's very subtle though, and in fact, you know, the easiest way to get rid of it would just be to turn that off entirely. And ooh, okay, so my main concern was fixing the background, the fuzziness in the background, but what I'm most impressed with is how much more detailed and better I look compared to before. I'm going to actually have to start taking care of myself. I'm going to have to brush my teeth and trim my beard. It's not as fuzzy as it used to be. I can't get away with looking like a hobo anymore. And but look at the back. Look at it, completely off now back there. Completely dark. Still lots of fuzzies, lots of artifacts. But look how there's less there with the light off than there was with the camcorder and the light on. That's pretty cool. And this is a great look for a spooky stream, I suppose. What happens if we go blue? Okay. All right. Yeah. Yeah. I do want to note one thing. I have a Blackmagic quad 4K HDMI capture card that I was using without any trouble whatsoever with the camcorder. But for some reason, when I plug in the SL3, it defaults to, I think it was something ridiculous like 480. It wasn't even like 480. It was 480 something else so interlaced input. And this particular Blackmagic capture card does not allow you to change the settings on it. You can't change what the intake settings are, or the input settings would be the correct term. It just takes whatever it gets from whatever device you plug into it, which has made it a bit of a challenge to get it set up and working with certain things. I was using it for, or was going to use it for, my second shooter here, whenever like Mike or Jenna comes over to record. But I just couldn't get it to accept a signal from a computer, no matter what I did, and I contacted support, and they're like, "Can you try some other computers?" I'm like, you don't understand how many I've tried. But I was content to use it for the cameras, because it was working just fine for that, but I couldn't get a 1080p signal out of this, no matter what I did. So what I ultimately ended up having to do was digging around in my closet and finding my old Elgato CamLink and plugging that in. Now I have the original CamLink, it's 1080p, so I can't even test whether or not 4K output works. Now, 4K output does work on the HDMI. There's a setting in the setup of the camera where you can choose clean HDMI output, full HD, or clean HDMI output 4K. So I'm assuming you can output 4K over HDMI, but I don't know at what frame rate, and I can't test it because I can't get this camera working with the Blackmagic capture card. I wish that the capture card just had a drop-down menu where you could choose. Some of their capture cards do. Some of the Blackmagic capture cards do, but this one in particular, it's the quad 4K input one. It's just like, oh no, it detects it automatically. It's like, well, can I change it? Like, no. I mean, on the device you have, you can choose. Well, that doesn't work. This camera doesn't have any settings. It has, according to the manual, this manual actually has no information about it. I had to look up the manual online, and according to that, it will automatically detect what resolution to output. Depending on whether or not you chose HD or 4K, it'll just send out the appropriate signal. And for some reason, mine is outputting some ridiculous interlaced signal, and I can't change it unless, I plug it into the Elgato, and now it's working fine. 1080p, just 60 FPS. It's buttery smooth. It looks great. I don't know what else to try there. If you have any tips, that would be great. But this is what the EOS Rebel SL3, going from HDMI into an Elgato CamLink, the original, looks like, with probably the worst lighting setup imaginable. Right now, I'm being lit by 2 monitors that are just on white screens. That's what's lighting me up right now. And then I've got just a blue floodlight that's causing some flickering. And I still think that this looks worlds better than what I had before. And the most exciting thing is, if I did want to get that stupidly wide angle, I can. I've got a lens for that. I also have, I think I'll go ahead and put this one on here for fun. I do have a 40mm Canon pancake lens. The one thing I will say about this lens is, because I have a crop sensor inside of this camera, it's gonna not quite be 40mm. I don't know what it converts out to, but this is gonna be a real tight field of view. But it does also have a lower... Wait, what? 2.8. Oh, no, yeah, that is lower. What we got right now, that lens I've got on there right now is at 3.5, f-stop 3.5. This one goes down to 2.8, so let's put this one on there, and it's going to look ridiculous, but let's just see with the additional light how it looks, and if we can crank down the ISO even lower and maybe get rid of some of that digital noise. Oh boy. Oh, hi. Okay, this is where we're at with the 40. That is insane. I've got it set to f2.8, and I've got the ISO down to 400, and wow, I'm looking sharp. Ooh, look at that blurry background. Loving that. Loving that. If I could get this, I gotta find me a lens for crop sensor that'll get me like a nice wide open aperture, but without the crop factor. That would be great. You know, I think 40 mil is pushing it a bit. My goodness, though, look at the quality, look at the clarity, look at that smooth, blurry background. That's what you want on the YouTube, am I right, folks? I think so. I would love to adjust the camera and show you, you know, what that blurry corner looks like now. Oh, there goes one of my light sources. Surprisingly, still looks great though. I can't do that. I can't do that because I literally cannot adjust the camera from where it's at right now. But I'm very pleased with this purchase, even though this is totally impractical. Okay, so for fun, I went and grabbed this one. I think this is a 10-22 super wide angle. We're at f3.5 and ISO 800. I can't think of any reason why I would ever need this lens, but if I ever did need this lens, here we are. So at the end of the day, there are a few questions I have left unanswered. Can I get this thing working with the capture card? I'd like to think so. One of the things I'm thinking about looking into is just getting one of those dummy plugs with the little dip switches on it that I can set to, you know, 1080p 60 and then put it between the camera and the capture card and then just force that capture card to at least think that it's getting 1080p 60. I shouldn't have to do that, Black Magic. That shouldn't be... It's not like Black Magic. There's a lot of rules to your magic, Black Magic, and I don't understand any of them. I've read through all of your documentation. I've tried everything I can. I cannot get this camera to work with that, but with the CamLink, it's working fine, and I think it looks great. So if you have any questions about this, let me know. Maybe by the time this goes up, I might have more information, and I might be able to help you. But if you're thinking about buying this camera, some advantages over the SL2. I saw the SL2 going for some great prices. With the SL2, you can get mostly clean HDMI, but if you want to use autofocus, it still puts an autofocus box around your head, even in the HDMI out. With the SL3, not the case. It's completely clean HDMI. So autofocus is on, and this is a terrible example of that because it's such a wide angle. I don't know if you could tell, but there's a box following my face around, and it is making very minute adjustments. This is the worst lens for it. This is not an STM lens I've got on there right now. Every other lens I had on there before, I'm pretty sure is an STM lens, including the 40mm pancake. It doesn't say. It is though. Yeah, it is. It definitely is. I would not have bought that anyway. And also, I don't know if you noticed, but there's that autofocus. It's not gonna do it now. Oh, come on. Rewind the video. There we go. We might have been too close for it. But yeah, it does work. It's a little bit slower and a little noisy on these non-STMs. These, you know, they make that horrible, which you probably can't pick up using this mic. Because again, I'm not using the mic on the camera. I wouldn't. And in fact, saying that, on this model, I don't think you can. I don't think it will carry the audio through the HDMI. Also, while it's outputting clean HDMI, in the menu I noticed it said that it will not also record, so you cannot record internally while capturing through HDMI, which sucks. I had some weird popping in the back of my throat. This was more of like a squishing. I apologize. It's late. I need to stop this because it's only going to get worse from here. So hey, thank you folks for watching. Hope that you enjoyed this. If you have any questions, sound off down below. Till next time, God bless each and every one of you, and I will see you later. Bye.